All right, welcome back to the channel. So, the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, has decided to cancel all of its fights for, I can't remember if it said until early April. I think it was early April. Maybe that is the British Boxing Board of Controls that canceled all their fights. But I do believe all the March and all the April fights for the BBC has been canceled. And this is just a continued trend from all of the different promoters and all the different sports. And it seems like all the different industries, non-vital industries, seems like in the known world have cut all this stuff off because of the issue that we know that has occurred. I want to give you my thoughts on that, man, because really, it really does show the priority. It really does show people's priorities. And let me tell you, man, the priority is not us, okay? It's not us. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so boxing is, we gonna have a lot of boxing on this channel, dude. We gonna keep talking boxing. It's not gonna be the type of things where we can talk about a fight that happened today or that's gonna happen tomorrow. Even though we will continue to analyze the fights that are gonna take place, because eventually I do believe that boxing is gonna come back, sports is gonna come back. You know, the NBA is people are gonna shoot basketballs again, people are gonna play football again, people are gonna play baseball, people are gonna box, do all kind of different stuff. The world will start revolving again. So we will continue to talk about the fights that are coming up and what is happening with boxers and all that good stuff on the channel. So make sure you stay tuned and we keep our eye on boxing, man, the sport that we love, because the more we participate in it, talk about it, the better it is for the sport. But as for right now, it's just not going to be a lot of actual live fights taking place because we're in a crisis. Now, the funny thing with me is, and I'm going to try to couch these words very carefully because, hey, man, I don't like to get in trouble. Okay. One of these dudes, I don't like to get in trouble. So I'm going to say it this way. I understand 100% why boxing has been canceled. I understand 100% why basketball has been canceled. And the NCAA tournament in the NBA, right? Both of those, all those things have been canceled as far as we know. I do believe that they've also probably canceled and many people are saying, you know, you can't, anything with more than 50 people standing around anywhere near each other has to be stopped, okay? Because they want to prevent this thing from getting worse. Now, here's my thing, man. I think all of that is great. But why don't we ever do that for other things that same situation applies to? For example, we all know that there is this thing that you can hold in your hand that will spit some metal right at you, okay? Spit it right at you. And the thing that it spits right at you will go, if it starts here, it will go into any major organ that you have and it will cause serious disruption to it, okay? Serious disruption. And this happens in the United States to where somebody is, the next day you'll never talk to them again, right? About 21,000 times a year, just in the United States, I think it was 21,000 times. And that's not talking about accidental ones. I'm talking about with somebody with the intent and purpose of doing what I just described very generally, or non-specifically. You get what I'm talking about. 21,000 times a year. You also have their food that is being fed to people that results in they're no longer being able to produce insulin because of their diet. They call it type 2 diabetes, right? That on a regular basis, you have people going around dying all over the place, dude, because they live lives that are terribly unhappy, people that do not have homes, people to live, places to live in, all throughout the world, who are living these miserable lives. But yet we never stop what we're doing. We never stop what we're doing to try to find a solution to that. Now you could say, Fanon, not Not going to basketball games aren't going to solve those problems. Not going to public restaurants and eating and making sure you have 6 feet between you and another person is not going to solve those problems. So, hey, we have to do this because this will help us solve the problem we have. True. However, there are many things that we can do that would affect us on everybody on a daily basis that would alleviate those problems that are causing the demise of so many people. And if the point of the matter, if you're doing something, if you're willing to do something that is this grand to prevent that from happening, I'm sure the same people would be willing to do that in other circumstances, right? If you know that in Chicago, if you can predict in Chicago that this is going to happen, that what the numbers that are going to happen this summer or every weekend of the people that are not going to be around anymore because of the projectiles that I'm talking about, then maybe you get rid of the projectiles. Maybe you try to find a way that people can't have those in their hands, right? If you have people that are on the street passing away on the street, then because they don't have homes and all kind of, maybe you find a way that we as a united people come together to provide for those people who either because of mental incapacity or just socioeconomic circumstances are not able to do them for themselves. But we don't do that by and large. We have good Samaritans that do that here and there, and we make some token gesture towards it. We might, release some public statements, about, guidelines on what you should and what you shouldn't eat. But we never stop people from creating the food that is causing the problem. We never do anything about stopping people from creating and moving around things that will that allow those projectiles to do what they do. We very, very rarely, if ever, stop that. But why is that? I believe it's because of the people that are actually being affected by it. See, because you actually look at, okay, well, of all of these areas, all of these things that are really creating these tremendous numbers and are tremendous risks to people, look at the people that it can affect, right? I'm sitting in a very, very nice southern suburb of a major city, right? It's a very nice area. My area is not as nice as some areas, like over that bridge over there, but it's nice enough. I can walk around my neighborhood. I know by describing it, what my neighbors look like. It's a nice area, right? It's a nice area. I don't have to worry about those projectiles where I live. I don't have to worry. And I have enough money, thank God, for now. Who knows with this whole world shutting down, how long that's going to last. But to buy the foods that I want, I don't have to go to McDonald's. I don't have to go eat at fast food places. I don't have to go eat at churches and things like that, or pay ridiculous amounts of money to buy terrible foods at a corner store down because that's the cheapest food that I can afford is the worst for my body, right? I can do that. However, can nobody the people that can turn their nose and drive right by the people sitting there on the corner who might be mumbling them to themselves, or you can drive right by them and look at them and know that's not you. You can't drive right by something that if they sneeze, you'll get. So when you have something that affects from what I see, the major significant thing here is about why all this is stopping is because this particular thing can affect any and everybody, no matter how much money they have. And even though the numbers that they talk about are quite honestly, man, they say 400,000. They say we expect as many as 400,000 people to be hospitalized. It'd be very interesting to see how many people have been hospitalized for diabetes. How many people have been hospitalized for things related to hypertension? How many people have been hospitalized for things related to those projectiles that I discovered? There's not a desperation to solve those problems because money can get you out of that. Money can get you out of those situations. This is indiscriminate because we all have bodies and we can all catch it. So since the people that live on my side live around where I live and live over there on the other side that really have those big houses, since it can affect them and they have no control over it, hey man, we have to stop this at all costs, because this might be my kid. This might be me. You know what I mean? They ain't worried about, these people living up in Beverly Hills ain't worried about random acts of metal, random pieces of metal flying through their window. They're not worried about that at all because they know they've got all kind of cameras and they got people circulating, and the people that are most likely to do that live miles and miles and miles away and would have to take the bus there to do it. So they ain't worried about that. However, the particular issue we're talking about doesn't need a bus to move. You know what I mean? You can't get rid of it by fire. You can't fire it. You can't gentrify it. You can't make it go away from you. So as a result of that, we have to make sure everybody comes together in a social way, right? Now notice I am laying two different theories of how the world and the market should work, right? Right now, just to be very, very clear, we capitalize the good things and we socialize the bad. So since we all have to be protected now, we all have to come together as a community and work together and all sacrifice with one another so that the cats over there, because the cats over there are now part of the we. That's how I see it. And it is something that is necessary, right? We do need to be doing these things. I think that the PBC is right about doing what they're doing. I think Top Rank is right about what they're doing. But I can't look at it and say at the same time, man, that, you know, when this problem goes away, are we going to address issues that where more people suffer in the future after this is done? Or does it always have, or are we only going to do this for things that affect both sides of the track, right? Or one side, it has to affect that side of the track. Let's put it that way, because the people with the big houses over there, if something affects them, it's going to get fixed. If something affects the people on the other side of the tracks, it may or may not get fixed. But if it affects both, it has to get fixed. But what is the common denominator? What's the common denominator? The people on that side of the tracks have to be affected. That's my point. I don't mind that this boxing stuff is canceled, but I just find it like, I certainly hope that we find the same sense of social responsibility and communalism that we're going through now. I hope we can do that for other issues that affect people in the future. But you let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.